From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another podcast, another episode of Conversation with Trent and Friends, featuring the lovely Canadian Coch Dee. Good stuff. We got a really good one tonight. As I was writing this up today, I know Coch Dee was looking at chops because this is one of her favorite, very favorite topics. Why is the truth uncomfortable? Facing your uncomfortable truth. Good stuff. Actually, as usual, topic come up with a series of texts and whatnot, and I got to thinking. So here we go. Let's bring Coch Dee in. Hey.
Hey there, how are you?
Pretty good. Actually, I'm thanking my nephew for waking me up because after the gym, I took a very long nap. I normally take it at 12 and took a little bit after 2. I was knocked out. Thank God he knocked on the door to cut the lawn, do the lawn and whatnot, because I'd have been sleeping through the podcast. But I feel great.
Must have been a good nap.
It was a real good nap, man. Actually, I reached the milestone over at the gym today. I actually did the stairs today, up, still, up with no hands.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, I did the stairs today, up with no hands. Going down, still a challenge for me. Still working on it. It's coming together. We're coming together. I feel good about it.
Cool. Come a long way. That's good.
Yeah. What's going on with you? What's going on with you and the little man?
Not much. Little man has MCAT testing all week.
Oh, so, okay, that's fun. Sounds like fun.
Oh, lots of fun. I guess they do it all afternoon. So have to make sure his Chromebooks all charged up. And of course, the first day,
right,
I get his Chromebooks all charged up, put his snack in his water bottle in his backpack, forgot to lock the water bottle. Gotcha. And he got to the backseat of the car and he's like, the seat's wet. And my car is new, right? And I'm like, oh my God, why is the seat wet? So, and then I was like, get your Chromebook. So, we had to pull the Chromebook out. Luckily, it is just a couple of drops on it, so it was fine. But yeah, my backseat is totally.
How does you like that Chromebook? I love my Chromebook.
He does not. He prefers my Samsung book. Gotcha. Because it's not. It doesn't do all the stuff mine does.
I got you.
So it does what the school
because of the touch screen, because the different.
Yeah.
So it helps.
So, but I've got a surprise for him because he wants to become a graphic artist. So right. I got a drawing tablet for him attached to the laptop.
I know he's gonna do well.
Yeah, so he's gonna love that. He doesn't know about it yet.
Good stuff. Well, let's welcome the folks in. Thank you guys for tuning into the B2G Unity TV Conversation with Trent and Friends, featuring the lovely Canadian Coch Dee. Really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good one tonight. I feel it.
Yeah. So welcome, Miss Kathy. She said, "Good evening, everyone. Awesome job trying to keep pressing through."
Thank you, love. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being here.
Make it like it.
And thank you to all the rest of our watchers and listeners worldwide. So happy to have you with us.
Good stuff.
So let's get started.
Good stuff. Why is the truth uncomfortable? Facing an uncomfortable truth. Why do people avoid uncomfortable truths in life? Let's just start with that one. Then we'll go down to the relationships and individuals, all that stuff. But in life as a whole, why do we avoid uncomfortable truths?
Well, here's the thing. Some of it has to do with accountability and having to be accountable for their actions. Some of it is a trauma response based on how the truth is put out there, because some people will use guilt and shame to put the truth out there. And we always have our favorite person who's like, well, I'm just bluntly honest. I'm like, no, you're not bluntly honest. You're an asshole. You know what I mean? Because
dig a little deeper, because sometimes I'm called an asshole.
Yeah,
dig a little deeper.
I agree with them. Sometimes you are. So here's the thing. So
I know.
you can, like, if you're going out with your friends and they wear an outfit that is questionable,
Right.
a friend would say, you know what, that outfit's not flattering on you. Why don't you try something else? Let's go pick something else out, right?
Okay.
Whereas somebody who goes with the bluntly honest will go, oh, that makes you look like a stuffed sausage or something.
Right.
Instead of being polite, they'll do an insult, thinking that that's going to change your mind.
Gotcha.
Okay? So that's not honesty. That's not truth. That's just being hurtful to be
Got
hurtful.
So pretty much what you're saying is be tactful when you're giving them truth.
Yeah, it's not even so much about being tactful. It's about being a decent human being,
I got you.
right? Because if you use you can cause harm to people.
Right.
If you are that friend who is constantly doing that, one, it makes me question why you do that, and two, you can if somebody is on a precipice, you can push them over that,
Right. I
right?
understand that. I get that. I get
Yeah,
that.
but
I question for you though.
the vast majority of the time, it's all about accountability.
Right. So is it better to get hurt by the truth or comforted by the lie? Which one you want?
It's always better to be hurt by the truth,
Gotcha.
right? Because being in a comfortable place where you're being lied to always ends up in the
Right.
uncomfortable spot. Because we all know the saying, what's done in the dark always comes to light. You know,
Absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
always comes out. No matter how well it's hidden, it eventually comes out. So it's all about being able to accept the truth for what it is. And but depending on what it is, there could be a lot of trauma behind that truth.
Right. When you
So
think
like,
about it, though, when you
hmm
think about it, an uncomfortable truth is a very loud noise in our head that
hmm
we can't, and we try to silence. We don't even want to silence it.
yeah, yeah,
We
like,
really don't.
yeah,
Again,
like,
and I
go ahead.
actually wrote this quote as I was writing this piece. An uncomfortable truth is a very loud noise in our heads that we try and silence.
Hmm.
Meaning, we try to silence that. We know the truth all
Yeah,
along. We know the truth,
yeah.
but we try to silence that within ourselves, and that's what we do the damage, most damage.
Oh yeah, that's the one where we always say to ourselves, "Oh, this is not really happening. This is not happening to me. That person couldn't do that." All the excuses that we make up for to cover up what's really going on. Because it's sometimes it's difficult to look at people who have lied to you, betrayed you, uh, borrowed from you, have never returned it, like who have basically done you wrong when you cared about them or they were friends or good work acquaintances or something like that.
I get it. I get it. Look like
And
we got
Mr.
time.
Slash has joined us. He has come back.
What up, Slash? What up, Slash?
Grand Rising Melanated people, greetings, Princess Coach D and Mr. Epic. Happy to have you back, sir. I
What
didn't
up?
think you were going to come back after last week. But yeah,
Actually, Slash got a little popularity going on there because a couple of folks tuned into that podcast and they were agreeing with him. These were ladies.
they were agreeing with him.
They agree with him as far as what he was talking about, what he was saying as far as what he prefer. He'd prefer
Yeah,
spend all his time with the mate and all this other stuff.
yeah,
So
how about it?
a few ladies that agree with him.
It's toxic, but go ahead. Do you, sir?
But
So
we're gonna
Kathy's
double back to that. I'm gonna say do tell at a later date.
Yeah, we'll come back
Go ahead.
late next time. So Kathy says, avoidance is easy for many. Holding yourself accountable for your action is hard. I believe in action, asking, what role did I play? If you're not doing that, you're doing yourself no favors, which equates to no growth. Sorry, there's a Google button right at the end of my thing.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's cool. Okay. Okay.
yeah, which equates to no growth. Yeah, so here's the thing. Um, So, with uncomfortable truths, I always tell people do not hold yourself accountable for the actions of others, right? Hold yourself accountable for your actions and reactions, not for what other people have done.
Totally agree. Now, here we go to the relationship piece of it,
Hmm.
right? When we're in relationships, male and female, right?
Hmm.
And let's just say, well, for me, just like I said in the opening piece, I'm called an asshole sometimes. I'm called an asshole. But I do have tact with when I'm actually speaking with someone and talking with them. But I tend to come off a little harsh. But I have no malice in my heart for that. But why is it so easy for women to tell me about myself, but the moment a guy tell a woman about herself, she gets all up in arms. Oh my God, I can't. Do tell.
So you used a very specific term and then a generality. So do you want to be specific or do you want to be general?
Give me both. You're so talented.
Okay.
Give me both.
So here's the thing. It depends on how people tell other people about themselves. Okay. So I see a lot of, because with what I do a lot of research on social media to see how people are conversing with each other.
Right.
So a lot of videos I see, it's there's a lot of anti-black women coming from some black men. I said some.
Dig a little deeper. I see where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's what it is it's internal racism, and they have issues with themselves. So they take it out on.
You saying the male or both?
No, it's on both, but I'm answering about what men right now.
Okay, got it.
Right. So, and because they have these internal wrestles, so when you see conversations and they talk about, well, I only date white women. Well, that's fine. If you only date white women, then that's fine. But don't say I only date white women and then dog out black women because that's your preference. Like, have your preference without the negativity towards other women.
Fair enough.
Right? Because you don't see that coming from other people. Right?
Fair enough.
So when those type of men talk down and condescending about black women, of course they're going to get offended. Right? The same thing is that if those black women come back on the defensive to those men, it always just ends up with an argument, and nobody is actually having a conversation. Right.
So let's get down to the root cause of that. Let's get down to the root cause of that. Why, first of all, why would one get offended by the truth?
Because what they're saying is actually not the truth. It's the patriarchy, and as Slash says, it's. Can you bring Slash's comment up?
Sure, one second.
Slash says it's toxic. Part of the fake black men display toxic masculinity, aka Me Too. Very, very, very careful, sir, because Me Too was actually before it became a white woman thing. Me Too was about conversations with black women who were sexually assaulted and were being ignored. So let's not bring Me Too into that because that's all. Yeah, we're not going to go down there. Yeah. So we can go back to the toxic masculinity though, because we have these guys who think that being a man is about control.
Some guys.
Yeah, that's why I said we have these guys who think that being a man is about control. Like, look at who was it just came out married 22-year-old. Met her when she was a teenager.
Marcus Houston.
Yeah. So I was watching an interview with him because I was fascinated. I'm like, he's 40, he's about a 22-year-old. What's going on behind here? Then I found out that he met her when she was a child, right. But they didn't start a relationship till she was 18. And I was like, sir, you were hanging around this child and waiting until she is legal? I'm like, that's grooming.
Exactly. Let me bring
stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up. I've wanted to talk about that topic for a while now. Mm-hmm. He's a Jehovah's Witness. That's their culture. Whether they want to speak about it, but that's their culture. How I know, because I used to be in that culture.
Oh, that's not just solely Jehovah's Witness culture. That is American culture.
But
there was a Missouri legislature who wanted to lower the legal, I think it was the marriage age to 12. 12.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm like, yeah, it's and the uncomfortable truth there is that we within our culture have a lot of issues with child marriage and human rights and we're quick to
That's
point
bad,
out
Christian
other
men as well,
countries
you know.
while ignoring ourselves.
Yeah, that's great. So let's get to the women.
Yeah, it's the same thing. There's a lot of self-hate. There's so you'll have some women who were raised that and men are no good, blah blah blah, because the examples that were put before them were trash. You know,
Right.
their fathers abandoned them. Their fathers didn't do anything for them. Their fathers talked down about black women, all this stuff. So the example that they had in front of them was nothing but negativity. So when you get those two groups together, there's nothing productive is going to happen, right? But luckily, those two groups are the minority, not the majority.
Exactly.
Except unless you're dating over 50, then the whole toxic pool of nonsense.
Right, right.
But yeah. Oh, Slash says, who was that? Jerry Lee or Elvis? Oh, listen, man, don't even get me started on those two. Like, who was it? Woody? What's the other guy? What's the director? Married his the
Woody.
adopted daughter of his
Woody,
ex-girlfriend.
Woody. What's his name? Woody? Something like that.
Oh my God. I try not to remember pedophiles' names, so.
Yeah, his name was Wood something. Last name Wood, I believe.
What? I'm gonna look it up now. But yeah, here's the thing, and we're so quick.
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. So here's the problem. Right now in our country, we are on a precipice where ethically and morally you can't really sit on the fence anymore.
Right.
And that is the uncomfortable truth. And the uncomfortable truth is we are seeing a lot of things happen from what has happened in the past. Like,
here's the thing though, man. Here's what my problem is with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the truth teller is actually getting stoned these days.
Oh yeah.
The truth teller is getting stoned. And I just be honest with you, I have a complete problem with that because I'd rather you not comfort me with the truth. Again, I would rather you not comfort me with I'd rather you not comfort me with a lie.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
I really wouldn't. I want the truth. Just give it to me. Just like with this condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once I got the paralysis for this, I needed to know everything. I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
I need to know what I was facing. You know what I'm saying? I need to know what was ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know everything about it. I did the research. Some things I wasn't told that I learned in the books on my own.
Yeah.
But don't comfort me with a lie. Don't comfort me with, oh, I don't want you to feel so bad. Nah, tell me the truth, man. I need to know. And
yeah.
I've never understood why people enjoy being lied to, why people just, take that before they get the truth.
Mm-hmm.
People just run from the truth. I don't get it. So like, just like you told me, like, yeah, people do think I'm an asshole. I don't run from that because I know I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't get offended by it. I know exactly who I am. That does not offend me.
Yeah.
But I know when I speak my truth, I'm not speaking it from a malice place.
Yeah. Yeah. But pull Slash is coming up. So what is the term for ladies? Is it toxic femininity? Woody Allen, Roman Polanski. Listen, toxic femininity is a misnomer used by men who try to control women. That's what toxic femininity is.
Dig a little deeper.
I'm considered a toxic feminist.
What was this comment? I didn't see the comment. I didn't see it.
Oh, he said, what's the term for ladies? It is a toxic femininity. Woody Allen and Roman Polanski. Those are Roman Polanski was a rapist who's hiding, but is still getting awards by Hollywood.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was awesome. But so here's the thing. When you're uncomfortable, when uncomfortable truths force people to face reality. And a lot of people like to live in their bubble.
One more time for the people in the back didn't hear you.
Uncomfortable truths force people to live in reality.
That's it.
Because a lot of us live in bubbles. Like I could literally live my life and not ever talk to people outside of my little neighborhood. I have a mixed neighborhood. I have everything I need within a 5-minute drive.
Right.
And the problem is a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So anything that happens outside of that community, outside of their little bubble, that's why you see so many people now who were surprised that um, Mr. Ralph Young, the 16-year-old who was shot.
Right.
Well, I'm surprised that would happen.
Exactly.
And then that girl who was shot turned around the driveway like, why are people shooting people? I'm like, hello, have you lived in the United States?
Exactly. I started this real life challenge online in the middle of the recovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to see if somebody was gonna bite on it, right? So I'm like real life challenges. Like I started talking about everything about myself,
Yeah.
my disability, my different ability to everything, my hardships, everything, this entire process. And
Yeah.
it continues still to this day. No one actually gravitated toward it. No one wants to see themselves.
Yeah.
And I find it so rewarding for me personally. It's so rewarding for me when I embrace my different ability. Once I embraced it, things started hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Things started popping on all cylinders. I had to embrace that. I had to accept that. I
Mm-hmm.
had to accept mine now. This is mine now.
Yeah.
This is my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people run from their own truth.
Because it's easy. It's easy to live in disassociation, especially if you have trauma, because living in your truth means you have to deal with what has happened and the reactions to it. Because understand, like with trauma, like I have PTSD, I do not sleep. I'm up maybe every hour and a half. I never hit REM sleep, right? So I get very tired very quickly. So my mood swings, if I was not aware of it, would be very wild because of the lack of sleep. But because I'm aware of my reality, I know what I need to do in order to maintain that. Whereas other
Tell the
people
folks how
just
that
live that
feels
way.
for you to be aware of that. How does
What
that make? Doesn't that empower you when you're aware of everything that's going on with you?
it is
That's
very empowering.
empowering, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It
saying? That really should empower you.
it takes a lot of work to get there and a lot of work to stay there. But when you are aware of who you are and what, like, not runs you, but what works for you and what doesn't work
Right,
for you,
right.
um, and it is a journey constantly.
Exactly.
You're always a work in progress. Nobody's
It's
ever
a journey
finished.
with self, man. When it's
Yeah.
very empowering, is a journey with self when you actually embrace all your different abilities, and that just doesn't have to be physical abilities. That could
Yeah.
be anything that you're dealing with mentally. It's very empowering when you embrace that.
Yeah. Like I could easily, if I didn't have extreme anxiety about it, I could take medications that would make my life so much easier. But
Right.
there's a
That's
piece
the
to that.
easier way out. Medication is the easier way out
Well, no, it's not the easy way out.
in some cases. In my
Medication would help a lot of people a great deal, but there's some trauma involved there that I have
I'll
issues
tell
with
you
taking
why I say
medication.
medicated in some cases, right? Like with my situation, with my condition, I have terrible, terrible, very, very violent muscle spasms.
Mm-hmm.
Very violent. But the one thing that calms the muscle spasm down, the one thing that calms the sciatic nerve down is yoga. I have
Mm-hmm.
committed myself to yoga weekly for the
Mm-hmm.
past 3 years, weekly. And then I do it at the house. When
Yeah.
I'm not yogaing on Thursdays, I'm yogaing at the house. Well, you know that because I called you in the middle of it
Yeah.
because I
But
was having trouble.
yoga doesn't always work for everybody, and some people may have a level of pain where that's not going to work,
It
where
works for me.
medication's
So
required. Yeah.
I'd rather not take those muscle spasm pills like they prescribe,
Hmm.
and it works for me.
Yeah, but that is you. That is a specific example. Not
I totally agree. Totally.
generally. I would advise people, if it makes their life better, because quality of life is more important than sitting on a soapbox and, you know, I'm
I
so
got
much
you.
better that I don't need to do that. Take the pills and
I
live
got you.
your life
Kathy
the
got
best
a
you
good
can.
one, and then we'll get the slash.
Yeah. Kathy says, can we talk about Black women call each other bees? As an
Uh-oh.
educator, I hear my middle school students use this word every day. I'm
Uh-oh.
often pulling those young ladies aside and ask, why did you call her that and what does it mean? And they have no clue. I believe some women that say this have no clue as well. Ignorance is ignorance. Actually, the
Uh-oh.
word means nothing anymore. That's the great thing about it. The word no longer has the meaning that it used to. because the power has been taken about it because it's been used in everyday language. Because remember, language is fluid. Once you take words that were used to harm and take the power away and make it into an everyday slang, then that word no longer has that same level of power.
I get that, but don't you see? So you don't take issue with that
I don't
when you
because it's slang. People, my stepdad hated the word man. Hated when people use the word man.
right.
But it's a slang. Or
I
hate it
understand what
when,
you're saying. That you give words to power. You give power to words or
yeah.
whatever.
I was a language major. That was what I did. I studied language. I have a freaking $400 dictionary, for crying out loud. Still makes me mad to this day. 30 or 20 something
But
odd years later.
I truly believe we are who we speak. What we speak,
You know
we
what?
are.
I believe
We are.
language is fluid, and it only has as much power as you give it.
I
So
get. I get. I get.
there's a difference between girls calling each other that and a man using it in a derogatory sense. You know?
So you
Just like
don't take issue with that. That's what you're saying.
no, it's just like us within the Black community. We use the N word with an A at the end, but
Right.
that has a completely different meaning than some guy driving down the street telling me, "Go back where you come from." N.
I got
Right?
you.
So language is fluid. Language has so many meanings. There's words that exist now that didn't exist before.
I buy that.
Yeah. So you know what? It's not about ignorance. It's about language changing and evolving.
I get it. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Let's get the slash real quick.
Can you pull it up? It says, "Ayo, Mr. Epic, you have to speak truth with the softer side of Sears, though." What's the softer?
I'm learning that slash.
Oh, that's that commercial from your. Sir, you're showing your age now. Slash.
I'm learning that, man. I'm learning that. Sometimes I do get frustrated with my friends when I'm giving them truth and they're running from it. I get frustrated with it. I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah.
Still, learning to take
Learning to
baby
call
steps.
call them out with love, like I like to say it.
Do tell. How does that look? Help me. Help me.
Telling you about yourself lovingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the language choice that you use. You use words that empower versus harm, because if you're going to tell somebody something that is derogatory or negative about themselves, you don't want to immediately go on the defensive.
I get that. And you really don't want to push your friends over the cliff. I get it.
Yeah, and it's easier to be nice. You know what I mean?
I'm trying, Slash. I'm really trying.
You know what I mean? Like if somebody is dating a guy who is no good, then don't tell her about how you always pick bad ones, or you always do this, or you always do that. Talk about, well, maybe there's something going on that we need to look at. Maybe
I will admit that I have one friend that has repeated toxic, consistently behavior when it comes to dealing and picking partners. So I do tell her all the time, and I'm like, me personally, I believe that if she's coming with it, I'm gonna have to give her the truth. I said, and I always tell her, I said, would you like me to dress this lie up? Would you like me to tell you the truth?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, give me the truth. I was like, why are you consistently going through this whirlwind? You're in this vortex, in and out, in and out, in and out. It's spinning out of hand here.
So how would you? Well, here's the question for you: how would you reword that so it wouldn't put her on the defensive immediately?
I don't know how, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
help me, help them.
Yeah. So instead of saying why are you on this vortex where you're spinning out of control, it's how can I help you look at the situation so that you're not continuously being put in the same situation again and again. Coach, you know what I mean? It's all about rewording it so it gives them a question to think about for an answer versus.
But wouldn't you agree that sometimes it depends on the case?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the case. Let me say that. Depends on the case. They do need that straight talk, no chaser.
You can still do straight talk, no chaser without being harmful, though. That's the key.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, but here's the thing: there's straight knock, no chaser, and then there's straight knock, no chaser. I'm going to smack you.
I got you.
For the sake of it, you know what I mean? There's a level for everything, but it's.
Kathy comes back with common.
Yeah, unfortunately, not everybody is as kind as they think they are.
I get it.
Yes, it's common in everyday language. It's disrespectful, and correcting them should happen as people, as we should be uplifting and not tearing one another down. But it's disrespectful to specific generations. It's not disrespectful to all generations. That's the difference. So
I get what
they're not tearing each other down. It's like calling each other sister. You can tell the difference when it's used in a friendly manner versus used in an insulting manner.
now, Kathy. Are these your kids at school using these using that word, or
What you
is
said
that
from the middle schoolers.
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an age gap.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I work with a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. God love them. They are change makers. They're going to burn the world down. They have no concern for the millennials and Gen X's rules and courtesies. And I love them for it because they're all about questioning authority.
They have some genius in that bunch. The Gen X's, they got some geniuses in that bunch.
Yeah.
They got
The Gen Zs.
They got some that's ignorant as hell too now.
Oh yeah, every generation has them, but the generation and in whole has not been taught to conform, and that's what people do not like about them.
And honestly, that's not a bad thing to me. That's not a bad thing. Not conforming is not a bad thing. It depends on the situation. But let's just be honest and fair. Gen X, they got some geniuses in there, but
Gen X is my generation. Gen X is my generation. It's Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
I'm sorry, Gen Z.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Gen Alpha is Xavier's generation. Do you know what their nickname is?
What's that?
Honey Badgers. Because Gen Alpha has grown up during a pandemic. They grew up with virtual schooling. This is the generation who has been taught to question authority. This is the generation who's been taught to look around and see what's going on.
I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. The problem is it doesn't allow conformity. Right. They're not little robots who will do exactly what you tell them to. They will question you. Right? And I love it. Yeah, you see in Tennessee, Gen Z is marching around the courthouse. Right?
Yeah, they made some change over there too. So
yeah, it's a purposes for different generations have different things that they do, and language with each generation changes.
And see, that's the problem with that generation that some of my generation have a problem with. Those guys are truth tellers. Not only are they truth tellers, they're going to tell you about yourself.
Yep.
They're going to call you completely out. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that generation doing that at all.
Yeah.
So if you walk in a straight line, you shouldn't have a problem with it either.
No.
If you walk in a straight line, you should be good.
Listen, I love Gen Z and Gen Alpha because they will change the world. Yeah. Because they are not they're not into the corporate, I'm going to work my ass off for the guy who's making the most money and I'm going to get peanuts.
Right. As long as they, I love them too. As long as they suppress those ignorant ones, they have some ignorant ass.
You can't listen. If we can't suppress the ones we have, we can't expect them to do the same with theirs. That's the way it is. You know what I mean?
So you're saying there's ignorant ones throughout, right?
There will always be ignorance. You know what I mean? And it's all about what the main goal is for the majority. And when you talk to Gen Z, they're aware of what is right and do what's right because it's right, not because it's popular.
So let's get back to this truth telling. So let's get down to the trauma of it all. Like, let's get down to the belly of it. Okay. So when a person, let's just say me, for instance, if I'm running from the truth, what would be your thought process on what the questions you would ask me? Why am I running from this? What would be the questions?
My first question was, how were you spoken to as a child?
Gotcha.
Because that how you're spoken to as a child will lead to exactly how you accept criticism as an adult. Gotcha. Right? So if you were a child who was loved and was given feedback in a loving manner, then you're more willing to accept criticism and truth as an adult. If you were a child who was constantly put down and constantly shamed for whatever behavior you had,
Right.
your ability to accept truth as an adult is going to be limited until you work through the traumas of your inner child.
It's just like when I was writing this up, right?
Hmm.
I knew that there wouldn't be a ton of people pulling for this one because it had the word truth in it.
Yeah.
And I'm blown away by how people run away from the word truth. I mean, when you're giving people truth, and I mean it's just truth. Why run? Why run from it?
Because
I
knowing
just
the truth, yeah, look at what's going on in the country right now. They're banning history books
yeah, yeah.
because the truth of what has happened in this country has been hidden, the true truth, and we've had this whitewash history.
But
And
here's the thing.
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. Even with the history of this country, right? They have no clue that if they sit up and stand up and acknowledge this, say, hey, this is what happened. Yes, it did. Now we got to move forward.
mhm,
Everybody can go about their business.
yeah,
Everyone will go about their business if you just stand up and say, hey, yeah, this is what happened. That's exactly what happened. Yep, slavery, all that good stuff. Yep, that's
yeah,
exactly what happened. We're sorry. It's time to move forward. You'll be surprised how many people would move forward and move on with life.
yeah. But
But
here's
if
the
you're
thing.
constantly denying it, or erasing history books and taking it out of schools and all that bullshit, people are not going to respect that at
No,
all.
and once people start realizing, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha have realized it because they have parents who are exposing them to a lot more than uh, what they were exposed to. Once
Exactly.
people realize the dog and pony show that was put on and the actual truth that's out there,
Exactly.
you can't go back. And that's the problem. A lot of people want to move forward, but moving forward means they have to move out of that uncomfortable bubble. Like
Exactly.
I used to do a lot of videos on social justice until I start getting doxxed by white supremacists and it's just no longer safe.
Right.
And so many people would come to me like a year or 2 years later in tears about how they can't have supper with their uncle now because they see exactly who he is. And I'm
See, I
like,
don't think, me personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't think that people that, that there's a very small amount that will really want to go back to those days. Very small amount.
I'm
But
losing you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, stay closer to the
I don't.
mic.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a large number that wants to go back to those days. The small number that wants to go back to those days. But here's what I think what they're running from, right? They're running from the truth of it. They don't want to face it. They don't want to face that their ancestors were animals.
Hmm.
You
They don't
understand
want.
what I'm saying?
I disagree partly because they what's happening right now is a loss of power. So the few that
That's
want
true.
to do it, unfortunately, are the ones that are still in control, and people are still voting them in because they will vote for against their own best interests. Look at Georgia.
Right.
People like they had Stacey there, who had done a great job for Georgia, and instead of voting for her, they vote for the guy who's putting Georgia back into the 1950s.
Right. I
Right?
get it.
So, and
Well, it has a lot to do with power. It has a ton to do with power.
yeah,
But
because
the numbers say that it's going the other way, so it may as well just give it up.
well, here's the thing: America is browning. There's no denying it. It was inevitable because it started off as a brown country.
Exactly.
So, that's the way it works. Colonialism only lasts so long and then Mother Nature reverts to what it was.
Gotta
But
get
here's the problem. They fear that when we become in power, we will treat them as they have treated us.
we don't have
But
those types of souls.
yeah,
So
but but that's not how we do things. But
and we don't have to
unfortunately,
worry about
because that's how they do things, and that's how power has been maintained.
it.
Losing
Exactly.
that power is causing all of this fascism, because there's
Newsflash,
no other
folks.
term for it.
Newsflash, folks. We're not those type of people. We're not gonna
No,
do that.
no,
We won't do that. I can guarantee you that.
no. We've only ever wanted equality, not revenge. I'm sure there's a faction who want revenge, but there's a faction on other side where there's extremism. But
right.
excuse me. So it's when we look at history and we look at uncomfortable truths and we look at what is going on in our country, I tell people right now we are seeing history repeated. So basically, the laws and everything that's being enacted, if you look at history, it's like 38 Germany. And there is no fence to sit on. Either you are for it or you're against it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
My favorite Detroit is here. What's going on? What's going on, Martine?
Hey, Martine. She said, hey, y'all, I'm super late. I'll send the podcast and listen. Yeah.
Good
But
stuff.
there, I forget which state it was, wanted 12-year-old girls to report their menstrual cycles.
Right.
Like, what
Wait,
business? They wanted to.
You just lost me.
They wanted little girls
don't do that.
to report their menstrual cycles. Yes.
Huh?
Because they.
When was this?
What? I said,
Wait,
I don't know if it was Texas. Let me do a quick search. But here's the thing. The party of small government is so small they want to stay in women's uteruses. But if you want to talk about a gun, then oh my God, we can't regulate anything for guns.
Right.
Like Tennessee and what was the other state made it easier to get guns as a reaction to more shootings.
Very easy.
Like, it's let me do this. Here, you talk for a little bit while I look that up.
So let's continue to talk about this uncomfortable truth here, man. As I said, as I was writing this thing, I still don't understand why folks run from the truth, even actually seeing the word truth. It bothers them. It bothers them. It bothers them to face themselves. This truth says that you're willing to face yourself. You're willing to deal with your things. You're willing to deal with your stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with dealing with your stuff. It's so rewarding when you embrace that, when you embrace it. Like I said in the opening of the podcast, me embracing this different ability. It's so rewarding. That's why it hits on all cylinders when I get to that gym every day, because I've embraced this. I embrace it. I have no quarrels with it. I'm good with it. I am good with this. I've turned it into a lifestyle because I actually embrace my truth, my personal truth. This is me. This is who I am.
Oh, sorry. It's Florida. Florida wanted to. Oh no, that's something else. That's a different crazy rule. Florida wanted to ban discussion of menstruation before 6th grade.
That's crazy.
So 6th grade is usually, I think, 12. Let me see, Xavier. 8, 11, 12?
Like Mark has a comment here.
Okay. The N and B word will never have the sting taken out of them, not as long as they use race as a social construct. No dictionary or slang usage will change that. Within a group, but here's the difference. You can use the words within a group, and it's different than somebody using it against you as a slur. There's two different word usages. Yeah, Kathy, thank you. It says 11 and 12 is 6th grade, which is ironically when most girls start getting the period around 10 and 11.
And is this across the country or is it in the state? Which state is this?
That's Florida, of course, because Florida is the head of fascism. I don't know what's going on down there, what's in the water.
This is what I love about the conversation, man, and I love about our viewers.
We need to have you know what? We need to have a conversation about the rise of fascism in the United States, and talk about some of these laws that have been put out there.
It's all good.
Yeah, because it's crazy.
This is what I love. This is what I have to say. This is what I love about the conversation viewers. We have knowledge, book knowledge, and all sorts of knowledge on an array of topics. So it's just not one topic that we can actually stick to. We have knowledge of array of things that's going on in the world. Yeah. Very intelligent folks out there, folks. I really appreciate you guys. Good stuff. Martine says.
Oh. Sorry, I got back to it. Martine says, yes, I'm working more every day. I'm being completely me. Truthfully, nothing but.
Absolutely.
Not everyone will get all of me because they don't deserve it. Yeah,
I agree. I
yeah,
agree. And everyone shouldn't get all of you, but you should give yourself all of yourself. I
definitely.
totally
Yeah,
agree. Totally agree with you. Again, like I said, it's so rewarding, man, when you actually embrace your truth and you deal with yourself. And it all starts with self first.
hmm
The reason why I could actually be called, accept that, hey, Trent's an asshole sometimes, because I've embraced myself. Years and years ago, I've embraced that. Okay, this is who I am. This is a part of my character. I'm not perfect. I'm willing to work on some things, but when I speak my truth, it does not come from a malice place. I
yeah,
do not bring it from a malice place at all.
yeah. I tell people I will lovingly tell you about yourself.
There it is.
But I have a particular skill, and I've been able to tell you off without realize you've been told off until you've walked away and went, wait a second. Did she just tell me to go F her myself in the most polite term
Pretty
ever?
much.
I'm like, yeah,
Pretty much. Pretty much.
yeah.
That's good
But
stuff.
yeah, so here's the thing. If what I tell people is if you, one way to find out if you are really, really able to handle uncomfortable truth is stand in front of a mirror and look yourself eye to eye and tell you something positive about yourself. Because for if you're unable to do that, that would tell me that you have some issues with accepting criticism,
Right.
right? And it's not an ego thing. It's all about being able to see you,
Right.
see
That's
your
true.
see you and you, right? Um, 1 second. Martine says, I'm 97% consistent. My personality hasn't shifted. I don't shape shift to fit in at all. And
Good
Slash
stuff.
says, uh, pull up Slash. Both Florida and Texas are going Fahrenheit 451 with the school curriculum, the 1619 project, and critical race theory. Yeah,
Do
I
you see
agree.
what I'm saying, man? Do you see what I'm saying about these conversation viewers? That just makes me smile seeing stuff like that.
Yeah. And the irony is you can't read those books in Florida. You can't read Fahrenheit 451 or what is it? There's a whole bunch of banned books that when you look at them, there's absolutely no reason why they should be banned.
Right.
Right now, Scholastic's in trouble because it's asking authors to remove race and racism from books.
That's great.
They asked an author to review a paragraph where she spoke about her family being in a Japanese internment camp.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But on
So,
another note, I'm speaking to the viewing audience here,
mhm.
other than our audience. Show me or send me another podcast that could actually talk on topics, array of topics, on an array of topics. I'm talking about from social justice to racism to everything. I'm talking about coming with actual factual numbers and facts.
Mm.
Show me a podcast that does that. Let me get off my soapbox. Go ahead.
Martine says I've read about that. Yeah, there is and we definitely have to. That's what we should do on Sunday. We should definitely have a conversation about the laws that are going down and the
That's
books that are being banned, all that stuff, because it's
that's
important for
we'll do
people to understand it and hear it. Because if
that.
you're in your bubble, you're not going to,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
like I had somebody the other day ask me, who obviously didn't know me, like, D, would you take Xavier to a drag queen reading story hour? I'm like, yeah, we go all the time. Like Bella Cantina, our local drag queen, is absolutely amazing. You know, we love
Uh-oh.
it. It's an awesome performance. You know?
What do they do with these drag queen things?
They read a story.
Like what types of stories?
I think the last one we went to, he read a story about Anansi. Anansi's the spider.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
So it's not
what
like
kind of story do you think they were reading?
see, you see the ignorance? You see the ignorance? I had
Yeah,
no idea. I didn't know.
yeah, they read little kid story and they act it out. It's amazing. I haven't had so much fun at a story time in my life. And Xavier, when he came back, complained that I don't read the stories as well. You know?
You see the ignorance in my
Yeah.
ignorance? Because I did not know.
I
I had no idea.
you know what? I went to one and there were protesters, and I'm like I sent Xavier inside. I'm like, why are you here?
Right.
They go, well, they're grooming children. I'm like, they're not grooming children. I would trust my son in a room with drag queens before I would trust my son in a room with white men.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
You try to get us canceled. Well, wait a minute. We can't cancel because we're on the platforms.
Please. Because everybody knows what what average pedophiles look like. And they don't look like you, sir.
I got you. You talking
Right?
Slash kind of talk now.
Yeah.
I can see Slash throwing the fist up right now. Slash
You
said,
know, Xavier went to his first protest in 6 months, and it was the best thing because he was in a little car seat, and at one point they were all outside cheering and had their fist out, and he
right.
put his little fist out the window, and everybody started cheering and clapping. I'm like, what's going on? I turned around and I saw this itty bitty little fist. I'm like, oh my god, here we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So Slash says, still using NYC's broken window policy, third grade reading to build jails, over policing, stop frisk, and the Jim Crow. Oh, sir, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. Private prisons where they have cash for beds, where they're putting the school to prison pipeline. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Calm down. Stay on topic. All right. So Martine says, interesting. I've only been to drag queen bingo. Yeah, here's the thing. My goal is to ensure that Xavier is a well-rounded citizen. So I expose him to a lot of diversity, a lot of inclusion. So we've been to drag queen story hours. We've been to different cultural events from different communities. You know? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. When you expose your kids to it, kids ask questions, and people who prefer to conform don't like questions.
Right.
You know what I mean? The biggest problem with drag queen story hour is glitter, because they like glitter, and glitter's the herpes of craft. So, all right. Yeah, Martine says from preschool to penitentiary, no child left behind. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's not. Oh, the statistics on discipline within the United States. The United States leads in very few areas, and one of them is the number of people imprisoned. And for just an example of how bad it is, in Angola prison, which is still a working plantation.
Actually, you know what's so funny it's funny that you speak of Angola.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and I just went out to Angola a couple of weeks ago to visit my uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So
it's very much a working plantation.
Yep. And the worst part of that is in Angola, many of the people in Angola working that plantation are descendants of the slaves who worked that same plantation.
Very interesting.
And people don't recognize why the 13th Amendment existed. People don't recognize why the Second Amendment existed. And was not so everybody could have guns. It was for one reason and one reason only. It was right. To keep down slaves if there was a slave uprising. So, I could go on that. I'll get off that soapbox because that just gets me mad quickly.
Got it. So we'll talk about laws and social justice and all that good stuff.
We'll have an uncomfortable truth conversation.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the best conversations, man, when you could have an uncomfortable truth conversation and everybody walk away with some knowledge.
Yeah, we can talk about how the media perpetrates it by, like, for instance, in Katrina, where it showed white people finding food and black people were looting. Right. So, exactly. And all the horrific things that happened in Katrina on the bridge and leaving the prisoners in the jail.
Here we go. I knew it was coming.
What the heck? I wouldn't have to bring my kids to a Klan rally for my kids to inquire about 600 count thread. Sir, you don't bring your kids to harmful things. You bring them to good things. Like, geez. You would bring, God. You would bring them to a fabric store to show them threads and fabrics. You wouldn't bring them to a clan rally. You show them books to teach them about what hatred is and how we have to have the talk with our children, whereas other people don't.
I love
So,
it.
yeah,
I love it. I love
it's and the health implications with living with racism,
it. Right. Do
right?
tell.
Because the medical biases that occur, which increase the likelihood of death in like Black women, maternal death rates are high. The
Exactly.
death rates from diabetes and heart disease, and how women in general, just women of all races, are ignored when they have heart issues or not giving pain medication
Right.
because they're thought not to feel pain because the doctor of gynecology performed all his surgeries on slaves without medication. So to this day in 2023, a lot of gynecological exams are done without medication and they're painful. So, there's a lot of uncomfortable truths that we have to have conversations about.
That's true. That's
Right?
true. Again, like I said, when we talk about truth telling, man, we'll walk away with knowledge. We'll walk away with the truth,
Yeah,
and it'll be embraced. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like you have to embrace it, man. Like I have no problem talking about social justice, racism, anything.
yeah,
I have no problems with it at all.
yeah. And
Of course, people,
here's what I tell people: if somebody is giving you feedback about yourself or your performance,
right?
don't apply an emotional power to it. It's only information.
One more time for the people in the back who did not hear, because that was powerful.
Yeah. So if somebody is giving you feedback about yourself or your performance, say your job, friend, partner, whatever, don't give it an emotional power because
Exactly.
it is only information. The more power you give it, the more it can harm you. So take
Exactly.
what you can from it, glean the information that is helpful, and then throw the rest aside.
Are you leaving it for your teachable moment?
Nope, Slash had some information. That will be my teachable moment, so I'll have to repeat it. But Slash says Angolan plantation was named for the country on the west coast of southern Africa from which many of its slaves had come. Yep. It contained a
Hey,
building. What?
you guys, I want to big up Slash for this one here. He actually he did one thing that I totally envy him about,
What's
because
that?
I can't do it now because of the the condition. He went to Africa
Oh
and
yeah,
achieved it.
sir. Did you go to what is it? Not Senegal. The island with the door of no return. Because I've always wanted to go there. That's once
Yeah,
Xavier gets older and can better understand it. That's one of our trips we're gonna make.
I want those pictures, Slash. But
Yeah,
yeah, I envy that man because I can't travel anymore.
yeah,
Like I can't fly that
yeah.
long. So,
And
but
Slash
he went to
says,
the motherland.
yeah, it contained a building called the Old Slave Quarters. Under the convict lease system, Major James ran his vast plantation using convicts leased from the state as his workers. Yep, definitely. Yep. The story of Angola is literally the story of the United States in a nutshell.
Right,
When you sit down and look at it and look at its history.
right.
Um, Martine says, "Have you all visited my webpage?" I
I
have.
have.
I haven't recently. I haven't visited this week, just because it's a crazy week. But I will take a look at it tonight.
I see you popping out there. I see you
Yeah.
popping out there.
And Martine asked, "When do you go to Africa, Mark?" And the door of no return. Yeah. Um, I have. My problem is because I believe in energy. Um, I sometimes have issues going to very powerful places like that because you can feel the energy. Like when I
Exactly.
went to visit Auschwitz,
Hmm.
it is life changing.
Right.
Like even knowing the trauma that my family has gone through with slavery, to see that was um, everybody should go. Like it should be like a mandatory requirement that is just
Exactly. And
it's so
a lot of
powerful.
folks, no, no, again, speaking on slavery and all that stuff, and a lot of folks know that Canada had a good hand in helping some of those slaves.
Oh, Oh, Canada has its own issues though.
I know they do.
Canada,
But...
yeah, Canada had segregation. We had there were people who would happily send slaves back across the border.
Right.
Yeah, so and there was indentured servitude and all that stuff in Canada.
Right,
We like
right.
to sit on a mighty high horse, but Canada has a lot of dirty laundry as well.
Right.
Yeah, so it's and we had the residential schools. We still have horrific treatment of the First Nations people. You know, like
Yeah. That's true.
when I went out west, the joke was, I may be black, but I'm not First Nation, so I actually get treated better. Like that's how bad it is. Like we had it, and it was surreal to not be the person kicked out of the bar. Like, and to stand back and watch, and I'm like, no, this isn't right. You can't do this. And they're like, well, this is how we do it here. I'm like, no, well, you're not doing it on my watch. You mind?
Answer your comment.
So it's yeah. Mark said, I visited Kenya and Ethiopia. The doors in West Africa. Thank you, Goree Island. Yes. That's last said, so true about energy. I felt the energy one night in Magic Slash. I almost was like, oh, that's such a nice comment. And then you went and ruined it. So that tells me it's time for the day is over.
Let's get to that's a good laugh though. Let's get to Martine, and then we'll get to real quick.
Martine, do you know how large Canada is? Do you know any of the walls in Canada? They're my family. The only walls I know are in Newfoundland. And yeah, they're probably not. Where in Canada are they? Hence, Martine. We're gonna have to talk about how large Canada is. Where does Henson and Neville Wall live? Give me a province, man. Narrow it down.
Honestly, every time I've visited Canada, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love the culture. I love the melting pot. I love everything about Canada. Actually, at one time, I considered moving to Canada.
Yeah, it's a very different culture. Ma'am,
it very well.
She said Josiah Henson is my cousin. Province, please. Text her and tell her we need a province.
Gotcha.
And Slash says the wiping out of Little Africa in Canada. Oh, listen, we could talk about the stories of Canada and how in Halifax the community was they were loaded up into garbage trucks and moved out of the homes that they owned to supposedly build a park, and nothing ever happened with the land.
We're gonna put your fist away until Sunday. The Slash and you and Slash will make the straight up fight the power hour, and we're gonna hold that until Sunday.
Slash, as long as he doesn't make any more comments. I have family Windsor, Dresden, Chatham, Toronto, and Scarborough. Yeah, no.
That is a lot.
Those are. I don't know anybody in those communities. Toronto has millions of people.
So it's let's the 5 after. Let's get to the teachable moment real quick. Then we'll resume on Sunday.
All right. So my teachable moment once again is about feedback. So feedback is information. Only give the information the amount of power that it requires. Do not add any emotional power to it because it can be harmful. Glean from it what you need and then toss the rest aside.
Right. My teachable moment is the uncomfortable truth is a very loud noise in our heads that we try to silence. Again, the uncomfortable truth is a very loud noise in our head that we always try to silence. We should always give it a voice and accept truth and embrace the truth. So truth is truth, man, and it's very rewarding when you embrace it. Simple as that.
All right.
Good stuff. We appreciate you guys. They still going these comments because if I don't cut you and Slash off, y'all gonna go into Black Power Hour here. So
nothing wrong with a Black Power Hour.
Exactly.
That's all right. We can talk about how the Black Panthers started Wick and the government took it from them and then tried to take their guns. But anyway, Slash says, come to think, sir. You were doing so well. You were talking about the energy, and you know what? You're done.
Oh my God.
Martin
Martin,
says,
Martin
indeed,
gets the last
conversations
one.
become reckless when you get too emotionally involved. Yeah.
Martin says,
Conversations become reckless when you get too emotionally involved.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And
So-
we have to embrace that, man. Like when someone's giving you truth, just embrace it. And just like Coach D says, take from it what you need to take from it, but do
Yeah.
not give it your emotions.
Yeah. Because not everybody can give you the uncomfortable truth kindly.
Exactly.
Right. So, it's
This was a good one. This is a good one. This is
Yeah.
a real good one. As always, we appreciate you guys. D and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Conversation with Trent and Friends, featuring the lovely Coach D, the Canadian. Good stuff there. We'd like to appreciate and thank all the folks from Ireland to Egypt. I think I saw Pakistan last week. Good stuff, man. Really appreciate it. And everybody across the United States. Really appreciate you guys. It just says that, gives evidence too that you guys love these types of conversations. This Gumbo Talk. So continue to give you guys this Gumbo Talk and straight talk, no chaser, and some great coaching from Coach D. So some good stuff, man. Good stuff going on over here. So
love you guys. I have to get the little man into bed because he has testing in the afternoon tomorrow, so he needs some rest. But great conversation as always. Talk to y'all next week or on Sunday.
There you go.
The Lord's Day for those of you who partake. We will be working it, so
absolutely.
Right, bye.
See you guys on the other side of Sunday.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.